My name is Dipti Desai, and I, along with Vineet Patni and Jesse Danjal, co-chaired the Thai Global Health Initiative. This initiative was envisioned and brought to life by Venk Shukla, a Thai Global trustee and past president of Thai Silicon Valley. For those professional graduates seeking jobs in the US were well versed with technology, but not with business, and they were hitting a glass ceiling. Thai provided a platform for them to start their own companies, become CEOs, get mentored, educated, funded, and allowed them to network with like-minded individuals. Today's CEOs and CIOs at many large enterprises are of Indian origin, thanks to the efforts of Thai. Thai is now a global brand with 60 chapters across the world and a large presence in the US and India. The mission and vision of this particular initiative, the Thai Global Health Initiative, is to bring together Thai charter members from around the world that have an interest in healthcare. Thai Global Health provides a platform that facilitates dialogues and interaction, exchanges of knowledge and ideas, showcases technology, and brings together investors, innovators, and enterprises. We would like to use this forum to study the innovative solutions from startups, understand the gaps from enterprises, learn where the money is flowing through investors, provide knowledge through mentors and advisors, and use the collective connection to create a heightened momentum which can be tapped for the greater good for investing, mentoring, advising, and showcasing of ideas. Our talk today is a little unique. It is focused on a family that all of you know really well. Kirloskar family is a household name, not only in India, but across the world. To survive, enterprises have to constantly reinvent themselves, and Kirloskar has done just that. Two generations of Kirloskars, Pratima, Rama, and Alok, are coming together to tell us about what they have achieved in the past, what they're doing in the present, and what they're envisioning for the future. Following their presentation, they have invited two innovative healthcare startups that are targeting the Indian market to talk about the solution they are working on. So we want this to be an interactive session so that all of you that you are listening to the talks are also involved in the conversation. So please feel free to post your questions, raise your hand, and when we have the Q&A session at the end of the talks, we would love to engage you in a dialogue with the family, Kirloskar family. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Pratima Kirloskar. To many of you, she needs no introduction, as she is known to many over here. She's the president of the Innovation Society, a founder and trustee of the Thai Pune chapter. She's instrumental in fostering collaboration across a range of entities, including biotech research institutes, pharma companies, practicing doctors, engineering colleges, and many organizations the world over. Today, Pratima will talk about the 100 years of Kirloskar, a feat that was recently celebrated. So please join me in welcoming one of our very own, a member of Thai Global Health, Pratima Kirloskar.
Thank you, Dipti. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us here. Kirloskar Brothers started as a partnership firm in 1888 and went on to becoming a company in 1920. This year, we have completed 100 years of being a company and 132 years of being in existence. I think to survive through extenuating circumstances, one needs a particular mindset. I don't believe the motive could always be profit, because if that were to happen in your lowest and gloomiest times, people would just leave you if you were unable to pay them. So then what is it about our management style that people stand by you? It is giving people the freedom to explore their potential by a gentle cajoling. Next slide. KBL has been consistently delivering value to its shareholders. It is not a company whose shares you buy because they give you a huge return on the stock exchange. But on the other hand, it is a share that gives you a dividend year after year. We missed it during the Depression, and then for the last time when we recalled some material that was exported to Africa in 1937. So the company has given an uninterrupted dividend for 83 years after that. Next slide. KBL has been nurturing a special bond with its employees. The family broke barriers of caste divide to unite its co-workers, hence becoming a cohesive group. This is why when the municipal council of Belgaum evicted the founder from his factory in Belgaum, the entire team moved with him to a barren piece of land in the Aundh kingdom, now called Kirloskar. Since the company was set up in rural Maharashtra, there were no trained workers. That meant every person had to be trained. In subsequent years, these people, albeit from an underprivileged background, gained respect and status in their area, got a livelihood, and the next generations were upgraded to qualified engineers and doctors. Obviously, they had high regard for the Kirloskar family. There was a feeling of one large family and everyone's problems were also the problems of the family. There was loyalty to the family of another order. This became a reciprocal feeling. The Kirloskar family enjoyed and still enjoys great goodwill in that area. Our founder, Lakshmanrao Kirloskar, his brothers, his cousins, his sons, and their wives were the highly evolved, compassionate human beings that were responsible for all this success. One trait that is worth noting was that the people who worked for the company were willing to go any distance for the promoter. They stood by him through thick and thin. Finally, a leader can only direct. It's the people below on the front line who act as foot soldiers. They bear the brunt. These workers did their best and they did it on their own. They identified with the promoter. This is the only trait and mindset that has enabled this company to weather the tide. There are some families in the company who have been with us for 4 generations. This is rare, which brings me to say that this helped the family to fight competition, even foreign competition before independence, with near empty coffers, but with goodwill to the brim. Next slide. KBL has been investing in its business. If you see our journey, the founder got a kit to put together a cycle, used his English-speaking skill to teach people how to ride it by charging 5 rupees, a large amount of money in those days. This led him to start a business of hiring out cycles to finally assembling and selling them in India. Next slide. So several businesses were entered into as the opportunity arose, right from making buttons, boxes, piped furniture, iron benches, hospital furniture for operation theaters, chaff cutters, tawas, iron mortar and pestles, spring beds, which we have even today, until we went into pumps in 1926. Now, we had created an asset-heavy business, and as long as we were asset-light, one could be agile. When we went into asset-heavy businesses, we could innovate or expand and integrate vertically forward or backwards, or then horizontal in the same field. Hence, we went into all kinds of prime moving equipment. There was the need to make lathes, hence the machine tool company got formed, Mysore Kirloskar in 1940. Pumps needed motors, so the electric company was started in 1946. Or alternately, for generators, Kirloskar oil engines was started in 1946 too. Pumps could push compressed air, hence compressors, and refrigeration systems were needed. And Kirloskar pneumatic was started in 1957. All these technologies were in-house or with a joint venture, then spun out as separate companies. All were number 1 in their verticals. Next slide. During this journey, our company logo also went through a transition from a symbol of the plow to a symbol of solid trust. Next slide. There has been a learning out of each business cycle. We were focusing on products until we came to the realization that since we already have huge assets, we could take advantage of this resource and take on projects that were large without finding the need to add any more capital, thereby getting a larger return on capital. Large government projects filled our order books and returns were good too. But in our exuberance, we spread ourselves too thin, too many projects. Many state governments could not pay us back and hence lots of money was stuck to a point where we could have actually gone bankrupt. We had to rethink our product mix, review all our contracts. We stressed on our products again and slowly overcame this huge setback. Huge lessons learned, fingers burnt, but the spirit went on. Next slide. Preserving cash and investing in technology have seen us through the tough times. The point I'm making is that it is not only a pandemic that can get you cash strapped. It could be your own ruin, it could be markets crashing, banks turning bankrupt like in the Great Depression. Ultimately, any situation can have the same effect, irrespective of the cause. The learning was to save your cash. Do not splurge, nor allow others in your organization to do so. That's why we are so low profile. I don't believe any youngsters would even know who we are. We make our presence felt by our absence, our products working silently and reliably in the background. If the water supply in the city were to stop, we would be remembered. Every time we have cash, we invested it in technology that helped us depend less on people or their knowledge. We tried to create a system approach rather than a people-centric approach. We tried to pivot the business when the times were challenging. Next slide. Agility in business strategy is crucial for survival. One is compelled to make changes in strategy with the times. The world was focused on material security. There was a short supply of raw material. The Spanish flu focused on people security and knowledge management. Liberalization focused on global competition, changes to products, changes to methods of production, managing cash flows, while enhancing capital expenditures to break out of licensed capacity and move towards real demand. We needed to make radical changes in the product mix to redefine the company, especially when the state governments were unable to fund infrastructure projects. We had to focus on enhancing product sales, focus on being able to offer and sell products without a proportionate increase in people, manage cash when 70% of the business was not able to supply predictable cash flows, making hard decisions with customers for managing cash and often leading to a pushback from customers. The ability to manage knowledge and apply knowledge discreetly so that new generations can be inducted into the business at the same level of knowledge as the older staff. The ability to enhance production at a time when cash is scarce because of the rise in product sales to offset the decline of projects. Cash management was absolutely necessary. Next slide. We have always continued with the business of doing good. Another attribute that I believe that has helped us and our goodwill in India as well as overseas, where we have 30% of our manufacturing facilities. In the UK, we do an apprentice building program in the large employer category. We sponsor young students for getting engineering degrees and train them in our factories to understand the factory environment. This creates goodwill for our products with their new employers, retaining a few while the rest join other companies. In the US, we reskill war veterans through our Heroes First Foundation, where we train and rehabilitate war veterans who can be absorbed in industry, making us an important arm of the country. Hence, the country's recognition by identifying our company in the US as an essential service. Next slide. We lent our expertise and knowledge during the Thai cave rescue, and were recognized by the King of Thailand. In addition to this, we assisted the government in Kerala and Sangli floods, and all have created goodwill for us. Next slide. In India, we work in and around our factories in the field of health, education, and livelihood for women and children. Running a school, a primary health care center, and maternity home, both 87 years old, where we do deliveries for a very tiny sum of money. Other than the midday meals in school, we do what is the Annapurna program for underprivileged children. During the time when there is no school, we send rations of wheat, rice, pulses, oil, sugar, spices, food grains, enough to last the entire holidays when the midday meals and programs are not functioning. We have distributed similar food packets during the COVID crisis. Our CSR initiatives are now being made sustainable and backed by a new generation technology. The COVID pandemic has taught us that CSR funds can dry up, and hence making CSR sustainable over a period of time will ensure that the welfare initiatives can continue to function independently. We are partnering with entrepreneurs from the startup ecosystem who will bring disruptive ideas in the field of e-health using low-cost innovative kiosks with diagnostics. It will not just modernize and upgrade our 87-year-old primary healthcare center, but also provide access to world-class diagnostics. The entrepreneurs are working on low-cost instrumentation such as AI-enabled diagnostic kits, pathology labs, and other medical equipment that would work in remote locations. We would be introducing low-cost care, pathology, instrumentation, new techniques of diagnostics using machine learning, where instruments can capture and interpret images, diagnose them, and send them to the doctors treating the patients. This would cut expensive travel to big cities only for diagnosis and enhance quality healthcare. While only a small percentage of our employees are with us for 4 generations, people see that there's a congruence of words spoken and actions taken and consistency in the thought process. People observe promoters and their behavior. Is the company not paying salaries to the staff while the promoters are enjoying themselves? One needs to create respect. It has to be earned, not demanded, and only your behavior will do that. We are a conservative company and do not splurge unnecessarily. So one doesn't hear of us. We rather invest that money in technology. With this shutdown, all our factories in India were shut, but we were still working on VC planning because on a daily basis, there is more firefighting and less time to do mapping activities. Finally, I have to humbly say that sometimes the universe conspires to help us. The bottom line is that you need to have faith in the universe. There is only so much one can do. And if I may add, having good values doesn't hurt. It builds your character and personality. Thank you.
Thank you, Pratima. That was really fascinating. You painted a picture of 100 years in less than 10 minutes. And I really like that term that you use, presence by our absence. Right? It's really amazing. I mean, throughout the day, you're using products and you don't even think of the company. But if that product did not work, you would immediately wonder why. And it's amazing that Kirloskar has done this for more than 100 years, working in the background and bringing us products that we rarely think about because they're always working. Very educational, very informative. Thank you very much. Next, we have the second generation of Kirloskar, Rama Kirloskar, who serves as the managing director at Kirloskar. Prior to that, she was a GM and also a portfolio product manager at Kirloskar. Rama has a background in mathematics and biology and experience in the healthcare industry, specifically therapeutics and infectious disease, prior to her joining the family firm. So Rama's talk today will focus on Kirloskar as it exists today in the present. Over to you, Rama.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning and good afternoon to all of those joining us from the other side of the planet. It's a privilege to speak on this Thai global platform. I hope all of you are doing well and staying safe. Today, I'll be giving an introduction about Kirloskar Brothers Limited, or KBL as we call it, and what exactly this company does. What is the impact that this company has made in the last 30 years? And by impact, I mean, how many lives have we changed? For the better, of course. So what sets KBL apart from other companies? Well, it is the undying spirit of innovation. Ever since its inception in 1888, innovation has been ingrained in its DNA. It is through innovation that we have participated in nation building, and it is innovation that has helped us uplift and serve humanity. Throughout our legacy, we have been a flag bearer for Indian engineering across the world. We want Indian engineering to be synonymous with best in class, quality, and reliability, attributes our products have always had. We love challenges, and highly engineered projects excite us. When KBL represents Indian engineering to the world, we showcase our most iconic projects across the globe. Why is KBL truly an Indian multinational corporation? It is because it has executed irrigation projects that have made 2 countries self-sufficient in food production. Senegal was importing 800,000 tons of rice at a cost of $400 million annually. In 2013, after the completion of KBL's irrigation projects, Senegal officially became self-sufficient in rice production. In Laos, After the supply of KBL pumps, rice production enhanced 25-fold, while irrigated land increased 9-fold to 140,000 hectares. Today, both Senegal and Laos have transformed from rice importers to rice exporters. Iconic buildings like the Shard, the Gherkin, and the Walkie-Talkie Towers in London, the Sydney Opera House, the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore, and the Burj Arab and Burj Khalifa in Dubai use only Kirloskar pumps for critical applications. KBL is accredited with the Green Revolution in Egypt. More than 100,000 pumps operate across the Nile, and 200,000 hectares of desert land is converted to green belt. KBL has executed the world's largest pumping scheme at Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam in Gujarat, providing drinking water to more than 30 million people. Critical pumps for the International Nuclear Fusion Program by ITER are supplied by Kirloskar. These pumps will be used for cooling the prototype reactor. Today, KBL provides drinking water to more than 35% of India's population, while pumping water to more than 60% of irrigated land through turnkey water projects that include river linking, river lifting, water treatment, as well as irrigation schemes. The list goes on, but I will stop here. Why is KBL the leader in its field? Between the 1950s and 70s, Government of India promoted self-reliance. It was at this time that KBL began developing its repertoire of pumps, valves, and turbines. KBL offers the world's widest variety of pumps, ranging from 0.3 kilowatt to 26 megawatt across applications. The aim was to ensure that India could rely on an Indian-owned company for all its fluid handling requirements. A very recent example is our participation in the Indian nuclear program. All this time, we imported uranium for running our nuclear reactors. But today, the Government of India, through the Department of Atomic Energy, has developed a new type of reactor, a fast breeder reactor that works on thorium. As you're aware, thorium is found in abundance on our coastlines. KBL successfully developed the primary heat transfer pumps required for cooling this reactor. Today, India is self-sufficient in generating its own clean and safe nuclear power. KBL would not have been able to achieve this without its dedicated and highly competent workforce. A workforce that inspires us to do better every day. Colleagues who go beyond their call of duty in order to delight our customers. It is because of our people that we are the only company in this business that has nurtured a relationship with its dealer network for over 4 generations. Our people and our spirit of innovation have enabled KBL to become a global leader in fluid pumping technology. At every facility of ours across the world, we have developed local talent through apprentice programs for both blue and white collar roles. This ensures a high level of technical expertise, in-depth understanding of business requirements, and cultivates a high level of dedication and loyalty. We have made the shift to localized production and value addition before the corona pandemic, allowing us to be local players in a global economy and cater to specific needs in every geography at the right price point. Today, we have an 80% market share in the United Kingdom's water companies. KBL is also Britain's largest pump manufacturer through its subsidiary, SPP Pumps. KBL has a global footprint of 15 manufacturing facilities, supplying pumps to more than 165 countries and spanning 8 sectors, mainly power, oil and gas, industry, building and construction, municipal water, irrigation, marine and defense, and retail pumps. As always, we will continue enriching lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Rama. Thank you for painting this vivid picture of Kirloskar in the present. Really enjoyed listening to how Kirloskar is making countries self-sufficient for food distribution by distributing water through irrigation.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Yeah, okay. Next, we have Alok Kirloskar. Alok is presently a managing director at Kirloskars, and today he will take us into the future. He will tell us a little bit about his vision for the future of Kirloskar and how he plans to embed technology, which is really of interest to many of the viewers over here, and how using technology, he will take the company to the next level. Welcome.
Thank you, Dipti. Thank you for the opportunity to present on the TIE platform, which is, I think, really a fantastic platform put together by, I think, Kanwal Rekhi and Suhas Patil and Prabhu Goel back in the day. Thank you so much.
Slides, please.
So I think I'll talk a little bit about what we've done in KBL over the last few years, almost the last decade actually, and it'll give you a picture of where we're headed. So over the last decade, the company has invested significantly in knowledge management systems and smarter products. This is evident from the fact that we operate the world's largest 3D printers in mainstream manufacturing of pumps. This enables us to move a lot of data on and off drawings into systems that understand how an end product needs to look, feel, and deliver. Similarly, on the front end of the business, we've introduced AI systems. These work with the sales teams and end customers to select, customize, and perform all the application engineering around existing products. The products themselves are smarter with IoT-enabled pumps, and the factories are smarter with IoT-enabled machines. Our technicians and field service engineers are more effective through the introduction of virtual reality training. This ensures product performance and consistency for both the employees as well as the customers. Another technology introduced is augmented reality for hands-on service. This helps in business continuity by managing all our service knowledge on one platform, enabling quicker problem resolution through diagnostics based on the cumulative experience of our service engineers around the world. These can also be used directly by our customers by downloading the app from the Apple Store. All these investments have ensured that we can respond to customers faster. When we respond to them, we code the appropriate product based on our 132 years of experience, which is embedded in the AI system. If they need to repair or service the product, customers can use the augmented reality platform to begin the diagnostic process even before we get there. When we do get there, we have a resolution plan in place because we expect to have a much better understanding of the situation. As a company in the last 130 years, we have gained significant amount of experience and knowledge. Going forward, it's important to use the latest tools, whether they are AI or augmented reality or 3D printing or anything else for that matter, which is relevant to the time. The main objective being to manage this knowledge, which we have gained. Our ability to access this knowledge at the appropriate time across the organization will lead us to give better solutions to customers, quicker resolution to their problems, and a better experience overall. The industries that we support cannot afford the financial burden of a breakdown. And so it's imperative for us to react as soon as possible. This is the reason why many of our products have predictive maintenance tools in order to sort of avoid and proactively manage any possible breakdowns. Today, all these technologies are smart and we're able to do some amount of self-learning with them. However, they have not reached a stage where they can make breakthrough innovations which the human mind can still make. Each of these investments in technology are useless unless they create a convenience to customers and time for our people to think about what's next. What are the new innovations that will shape our future? And how can we help customers understand what's possible beyond anything they've imagined? As a company, we have the best people in the industry. With the additional time created by AI, we continue to develop our people to keep an edge over the competition. Finally, people still buy from other people. Emotion and trust still play a major role in the decision-making process. While companies desperately try to reduce decision-making down to price and technical capability, as long as the business world is run by humans, there is still a place for emotion. It's for companies to use technology effectively to create time for their people and continue to develop these intangible bonds that differentiate themselves. This is vital to remain in business and deliver value to our customers and shareholders. Thank you. Thank you, Dipti. I'll pass it back to you. Dipti, I think you're on mute.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Alok. What Kirloskar is doing today is of great interest to those that are working in deep tech, and we look forward to seeing integrations of technology into Kirloskar as you've always done. So thanks again for giving us a little snapshot of what we can expect in the future. Pratima, Rama, and Alok, we'd like to thank you. To the audience, please do share your questions in the Q&A chat box so that we can address them later after we hear from the two startups in healthcare that the Kirloskars have lined up for. So the first startup that we will be hearing from is Rises. Rises aims for better healthcare for all. Rises functions as a medical AI assistant for the frontline doctors and clinicians. Built on an AI platform, it delivers automated and personalized treatment, response assessment, disease detection, and predictions based on medical imaging and pathological data. So I'd like to welcome Ajit Deshpande, founder and CEO of Rises, to give us a 5-minute presentation on their solution. Ajit?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks. It's my privilege to join such a wonderful forum. Thanks to Ty, thanks to Pratima ma'am, the Kirloskars. And as you know, my name is Ajit Deshpande. I'm the founder, CEO of Rises Analytics Solutions. We are based in Pune. And I'll be talking about application of AI in healthcare and our solution for diagnostic automation. So human and AI are joining the forces. AI in healthcare has tremendous opportunity, including medical imaging analysis as well as the assistance to the doctors. When we talk to the clinicians and doctors, they definitely talked about explainable AI. Deep learning is the backbone technology for not just the healthcare imaging, but other areas in healthcare as well. So as you know, the pandemic has created a tremendous impact on the societies and nations, and especially something like Spanish flu happened long back. It is a scary, scary situation, and many of the doctors and healthcare workers are also impacted in this during the pandemic. So looking at the worldwide picture, even before pandemic, it was not that good. And what we see is a large amount of money is invested from the corporates as well as governments to solve this problem. And unfortunately, the pandemic has worsened the situation. We all are going through it. So as a company, we started our journey 3 years back to address this situation. And we are focused on the artificial intelligence and blockchain solution, industry solutions. And we have been working on healthcare solution before pandemic. So it was easy for us to directly address the pandemic, which is a pulmonary condition for us. And we are able to do something for the doctors. So our business is business to business, software as a service. We do have our AI platform and our roadmap. We are focusing on the chronic and critical care for large masses. So currently our solution works for COVID-19, TB, COPD, and other pulmonary condition. We're already working on the breast cancer, liver cancer, and some of the other cancerous condition. When we started our journey, we realized for artificial intelligence, the data is extremely important as well as the domain knowledge. So we collaborated with Tata Memorial Center, Mumbai, which is having 70,000 patients per annum. And also a cohort hospital in central India, Raipur Viva Hospital. We offer our solution at 3 levels: automated disease detection, disease progression assessment, and healthcare prescriptive analysis. So what we generate is a treatment response assessment and prediction report. We do have our differentiator and novelty. So our differentiator is we have created a solution which can be directly mapped to the medical protocol. You remember the COVID-19 had no protocol 3-4 months back when it started. So we had to map the exact detection post RT-PCR, what exactly they will be doing, analyzing the radiographs and CT scan. So this is one of the key point in our, and it works as a decision support system, medical AI assistant. It's highly modular, and our novelty is in disease progression analysis. This is a product we built. This is the UI, which reduces the stress on medical professional, works as a preventive technology, also help reduce the mortality rate. It works as an assistant to the frontline doctors and clinicians. So this is one of the screenshots where we are analyzing the CT scan, and we are able to detect the opacities and COVID-induced pneumonia at very high accuracies. These are the bounding boxes you see on the screen, which is generated by our AI system. This is the another one where this patient got exposure to the radiation, and you can see the difference between 7 months and now, now being treated for radiation pneumonitis. We have built a collaboration for joint go-to-market with TCS. We are TCS Co-Innovation Network partner. TCS has tremendous outreach and growing market presence. We do have domain expertise. We have created the Rises AI platform, and also our solution as a platform, we are taking it to the UK and USA market as well as apart from India. We have a very large customer waiting on us, and we have been talking to them. Some of the work is already going on. One of them is, for example, AI company will always look for wherever there more data is. So first one is having about 30,000 processing capacity per day. So one of the examples where the Happy Hospital, which is in Hyderabad area, and one of the problems they told is some of these RT-PCR negative patients were going towards mortality. Very scary thought. Our solution definitely helped them to reduce the stress on them. Doctors, they were working almost 24/7, and we could detect the pleural thickening and other parts even 24 hours before it start impacting the patients. So our team is also fully committed. They are working day in, day out. We are all working from remote locations from our homes and fully dedicated to solve this problem. This is my team. It's a worldwide presence. And I would like to conclude here with a thanks note. Worldwide brand like Kirloskar started their business in Maharashtra. They are pioneers, inspiration to startups like us. They build the engines and pumps, the heart of manufacturing and industry. We aspire to build AI engine to boost the healthcare. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ajit. Well said. And as I can see, there's a lot of questions pouring in the Q&A and the chat. So we'll get to those in a minute. We have one more startup that will be presenting today. We have OnLive Health. OnLive Health is a technology-enabled healthcare provider that is focused on transforming chronic and primary care delivery. Powered by AI, OnLive offers integrated care through a subscription model, including virtual diagnostics, prescriptions, health coaching, care, and lifestyle therapy, resulting in better outcomes at lower cost. The team consists of clinicians, technologies, entrepreneurs, and builders that want to deliver health to millions, starting with chronic disorders like diabetes and heart disease. Please welcome Hitosh Rastogi, founder and CEO of OnLive Health.
Thanks, Dipti. It's a pleasure and a privilege to share this panel with Kirloskars family and the Thai Global family. In today's conversation, I'll talk about who we are, our unique approach, and what we are doing in India. OnLive Health is both a technology company and a healthcare provider company with a focus on transforming experience, outcomes, and economics of healthcare, both in US and India. Our fully integrated, all-inclusive online clinic provides a single consumer access to services spanning primary care, chronic care, acute care, with a simple, straightforward payment model. Now, our approach is unique in 5 key ways. First, we don't treat a specific condition. We focus on the whole person. And what that means is that if we are not treating an individual with diabetes, but looking into all other chronic conditions in totality to figure out the right treatment plan. Secondly, we use technology and machine learning to create precise and personalized care pathways for that individual. For example, we developed algorithms based on 5 years of work to figure out what's the right treatment in terms of medication type and dosage for an individual, not just factoring in the clinical parameters, but also the lifestyle as well as the cost. Now, this is huge given that 1 in 5 patients with diabetes are overprescribed. We always focus on driving the glycemic control without realizing the side effects, such as low blood sugar resulting in hospitalizations and so forth. So we use technology to make sure we are providing the right optimal treatment pathway for each individual because they are different. Third, we don't just tell you what to do. We also make it easier by providing all the pieces of care to you. That includes your diagnostics, your lab work, your devices, and the 24/7 care access so that it's easy for you to work. And the basic premise is if diabetes affects our health on a daily basis, shouldn't our care team do so? Fourth, we are user-centered but family-supportive. What that really means is that if you take a treatment with us, we don't just focus on you, but we also engage and involve your family, and that's key. Now, the engagement could be just in terms of attending the care sessions, to keeping track of data, to even participating in your own health. Finally, we focus on providing a prepaid payment model. And that is key to aligning our incentives with those of patients, because we don't want to create a sick care industry. We want to create a healthcare industry that assures health, that depending on your needs, provides a flexibility in pricing, while always ensuring that you have a company that owns the outcomes and owns the relationship on an ongoing basis. With OnLive Health, we aim to deliver the best care possible, powered by technology and human compassion. And let me give you a high-level view of what we mean when we talk about. We talk about A3I engine that powers our approach, and that goes from analyzing the aggregated data across all the determinants of your health to applying the data through our machine learning algorithms to figure out what's the right treatment plan for you, what's the right prescriptions for you, what's the right level of lifestyle changes for you, what are the prioritization across different chronic conditions. And then we aid in helping you on a daily basis towards making those things happen. And as you pursue your healthcare journey, we iterate, we de-prescribe, we kind of provide specific diagnostics and so on and so forth. And the idea essentially is to kind of keep this continuous loop on an ongoing basis year over year. Now, specifically to India, we all know that cardiometabolic conditions is a huge challenge both in US and in India. We also believe that the current care model is broken in both countries. There are a lot of commonalities in US and India. And specifically, there's additional challenge in India, which is the access to right care, access to standardized care. And we believe that technology-led approach can enable India to leap forward and provide an established care model, which we can bring back to US. So we're launching in India with our direct to consumers, as well as with our distribution partners like payers, where we're offering an integrated OPD plus IPD product, so that we can not only just focus on delivering the best experience and outcomes, but also drive the cost down on an ongoing basis. So with that, thank you so much for this opportunity, and look forward to any questions. Back to you, Dipti.
Thanks, Satish. Thanks, everyone. So this was really very, very interesting. Thank you all for joining us on this Saturday morning in the West Coast and Saturday night in India. We've had close to about 400, 500 people on this call throughout, and really excited. There's some great questions over here, so I will dig right into that. I also, before I start that, I would like to thank two people at TIE Global Health, both Mohini, who's worked behind the scenes incredibly to make this event happen and a success, and Vijay, who also works with TIE Global Health and is currently in India working on creating a successful Thai Global Summit that's coming up in December. So thanks, Mohini, and thanks, Vijay. So the first question is from Samir Panda. I don't know, Mohini, do you think we can get Samir to ask this question, or do you want me to ask the question?
In the interest of time, you can go ahead and ask the question.
Okay. So Samir Panda, I believe, I don't know where he is from, but Samir has a good question. And he has a comment. Great to hear from the leadership team at Kirloskar. He would like to know, how is KBL contributing to the startup ecosystem? We did hear a little bit from Alok from there, but maybe some specifics on how KBL is working with the startup ecosystem. Of course, we heard from 2 startups over here. And also the second component of that question is, do you think COVID-19 will have a long-term impact on manufacturing industries in Bharat? Alok, Rama, Pratima, any of you?
Yeah. So maybe I'll talk about the startups. I think, there are a huge variety of startups, and when you see some are very high tech and some are just solving small issues. So when there are small problems that you have in an organization, like, you have a text to video, video to text, and that kind of conversion, we have been working with many startups and trying them out and then referring them to other people. Because you don't have to absorb every startup that you work with, but it gives them a good reference. With the other startups which are doing, data, work in data, we work in AI, I think we will be working with them more closely, because I think those are the technologies that are going to impact the way we work. And going forward, that is going to be something we are looking for. But that's what it is about startups, where they can contact me if they are interested.
Thanks, Pratima. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, large enterprises always have gaps in the solutions, and they're constantly looking for new startups. There has to be a product market fit, right? I mean, in this case, the market is the large enterprise and the product is the startup. And if there is a great fit, and I really liked what you said, Pratima, is that, sometimes you can't use all the startups that come to you, but you have a great connection, a huge network. You always know people that may be needing solutions that the startups are providing. So those are good solutions to.
Just to add to that point, I think, like my mother mentioned, she does work with a wide range of startups, and she helps promote a wide range of startups which are way outside our field. But within our field, we do work with startups, and we do work with them even if they don't have a proven track record, because that is something that we've always felt, that the government, more, not now, but over the last 20 years, has really been focused on this concept of proven track record, and that really shuts down any sort of innovation. And so from our point of view, when we are looking at areas like 3D printing, or when we looked at our AI systems, we didn't look at proven track record. We looked at the ability and the skill sets of the founders, as well as the basic technology that existed. And if they had something that made sense, we were willing to expand so that it fit what we needed. And like my mother said, we're not really interested in taking over different startups, because many startups are just not relevant for us. I mean, we're in the pumps business. So we would support them. We would give them the opportunity to sell to us, develop with us, and of course, let them grow on their own. I think that's important.
Thank you. No, thanks for clarifying and for extending. And so to all the people that are startups out there, you don't have to be a serial entrepreneur to be recognized. If you have some innovative idea out there, you reach out to people, and who knows, you may have a solution that the enterprise is willing to extend beyond their current product portfolio to incorporate your solution. Thank you, Alok. The next question is also talking about how inspiring the Kirloskar story is. It was definitely very inspiring to me. I had not heard all of it today, and I had the opportunity to do so today. So thank you very much for this opportunity, the Kirloskars. The question here is, how has the company managed to sustain in the market for a very long time? And this is a very important question, because I've seen companies grow big, and then die sometimes, right? And Kirloskar has reinvented itself, sustained for such a long time. And what is the secret sauce? What is the magic formula?
So Dipti, I'd like to give a few inputs for that question. I think the first is we've always worked ethically. We've never compromised on our value system. We've never believed in short-term gains. And we definitely don't believe in a meteoric rise and fall. So I think it's also because we have this strong value system and this strong foundation of values that we have built trust and we have built a lot of goodwill. And people have grown with the company, communities have grown with the company. And so there is a lot of goodwill that the company has created. It's not that we have not fallen on hard times. We've had a lot of hard times, but it is because of that goodwill that there have always been people who have been there to help us through the bad times. Customers trust us. They know we are not going to let them down, and therefore they keep coming back to us. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is we have never hesitated to disrupt ourselves as far as technology is concerned. We keep enhancing our technological capabilities. We don't like to stay in our comfort zone because we are an engineering company and we truly love engineering. So, we like these new challenges and they stimulate us. And therefore, I think it's important that one disrupts himself before the market forces that disruption upon you.
No, I think anybody else wants to add?
Ditya had one point which I felt is quite important and is very connected to our history, and that is our ability to pivot ourselves. And we've pivoted from project to products, products to services, services to subscription services. I think these are our ability to move within our market space and understand where the market space is moving. We're not stuck to think that this is what we do, this is what we're going to do. I think we're willing to change that. And I think the most important part is that we have people who stick with us, who are willing to change with us. Because finally, at the end of the day, leadership in the company can, discuss, can provide a vision, can provide direction, but someone has to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And a lot of people who are doing the heavy lifting have to be convinced that's a good idea. So I think that's something that's in our culture, that we're able to steer in different directions. And like Rama mentioned earlier, yes, we have had hard times, but thankfully we've had people who work with us to pivot every time.
Yeah. Oh, great thoughts. One is values, great integrity, honesty, and trust. Very, very important in business, like Rama mentioned. And the ability to reinvent yourself, to pivot, to go, not just say, we've been doing this way and we will continue to do it the same way, right? Ability to expand, go beyond your horizons, take that leap. And great, well articulated by Alok and Rama. And
I'd also like to add to that point of yours is that value system is only there for ourselves and it helps us in the very long term, right? There have been times where we've had to let go of opportunities because the value system just did not, go well with our business ethics. So we've had to let go of a lot of growth opportunities.
True. So learning to say where to say no and where to go and not go. And value is so important. And that's why I want to bring this to Pratima. Pratima, you've done such a fantastic job bringing in amazing values to your two children, Alok and Rama. It's really, I'm sure you must be like bursting with joy and pride. I think tell all the other moms out there, what is that secret ingredient? How did you do that? It's not an easy job. I think it's really impressive to see the next generation take over and do a great job. So, any thoughts?
Yes, I think, one very critical thing is nurturing. And as a parent, you are actually a 24/7 parent, 365 days. Most parents say, I'm giving my child quality time. And what is quality time and from whose point of view? Because, when you come home, you are tired, but you want to find time for your child, but your child may be tired too. That may not be his best time to learn. And I think, children learn from your behavior. They just copy you. They just mimic you. So I think what is important is that if you have a certain set of values, you have to live them. You have to live by what you're saying. Because, you can't lie to your children. They see through that. So the best is if you want them to be a certain way, you should be that certain way. Only then they will turn out the way you want them to.
It's interesting. It's very close parallels in raising children and raising an industry, right? I mean, it's the values, it's listening to them, figuring out what's needed and executing. Thank you.
True, true.
So I think there are a lot more questions. I want to just get to them. Somebody is saying that diagnostics. So here's Mukesh Vyas saying, great success story of Kirloskar Group and Kirloskar Brothers, proud to be working. Future of pump remote analytics and diagnostics is great thoughts to increase uptime at plants. Wishing you great success. Here's somebody who wants to work with the Kirloskar Group. How can somebody figure out how to work over there? I mean, how do you recruit talent? Being such a large company across the globe, it must be a tough thing. What are the processes that you follow in order to recruit?
Rama, would you like to take that?
Yeah. So it's a pretty straightforward process. I believe they can get in touch with our human resource team. But I'll go one step further, right? I'll go up to saying, you know, what are the qualities that we look for in individuals? Essentially, we look for a couple of things. One is passion. I think passion is very important in any line of work. The second is drive, because drive makes you, drive is essentially persistence. And there are many hurdles and there are many failures, but both failure and success are just transient point in time, right? Just because one fails today doesn't mean you'll not fail tomorrow or not succeed tomorrow. So I think they're all transient, temporary points in time. And the difference between failure and success is just persistence. So we truly look for persistence in individuals and drive. And we have a pretty good induction program internally. So we get them technically prepared. But I think what is important is passion, drive, and the ability to work in teams. And teamwork is very important in today's day and age because fields are converging, knowledge bases are expanding so fast that we notice in certain fields, people become obsolete within 5 years after graduating because their fields are just expanding at such a fast rate. So I think to be able to work in teams and being able to leverage other people's skill sets and competencies is very, very crucial in today's day and age, because that is when an individual is able to work in a team and make a very large impact. And that's what we look for: passion, drive, and teamwork.
Great.
I'll just add a point to that, which is, our most successful programs tend to be our apprenticeship programs, because there's, where we are able to, build that bond and that stickiness factor with the person, and have a better understanding of the person and see where the person fits best within the organization over, and develop his growth trajectory to the organization, because everyone wants progress, and we have to ensure that we don't set him up to fail, but we set him to succeed. And so I think that's really important in understanding where the person fits. And while he's going through the apprentice program, he makes friends and builds the social network within the company, because that allows them to be more open to work in teams because they're working with their friends.
So true, so true. It's a two-way thing, right? Both, not only should the company get to decide and choose who they want to work, but it's great once that person is chosen, they should be allowed to choose what is it that they're interested in working, whether that's a good fit or not, right? Because only then when both people are happy do you have success. So good. So I know we are running out of time, but I want a minute, two more questions I have that I would love to ask. And there's so many more. Hopefully Mohini will capture these and maybe pass them on to you later on for you to take a look at what were the questions that were addressed, and maybe you can take the time to answer them. But the two questions I wanted, one is that big elephant in the room, the COVID. COVID has really impacted everyone, right? It has impacted industries, it has impacted people, it has impacted governments. How do you see that? I mean, it's a positive and a negative. Can y'all elaborate on how has it impacted the Kirloskar industry, and how do you see it panning?
Maybe I could say a few words, and I'm sure everyone else will add to that. I think the Corona situation has really helped us understand how developed our AI systems are for us as a company. We've been on this journey for almost 10 years, and we find that the level of the development of our systems is been pretty robust, and we are able to work reasonably well in this current environment because of the level of automation, not excessive automation, because finally it's a balance, but also our knowledge management system, because people coming into the organization have almost the same level of experience now as someone who's been in the organization for a while, because of the way these knowledge systems work in our companies, whether they're front end, in the middle, or in service. So I think that's really helped us ourselves understand where things stand. I think it's also useful to sort of place yourself as a business. Are you a business that is based on a need? Are you a business that's based on a want? Because there's some kinds of things that people do which are wants, but they're not really needs. I would believe that our products fit into the need category. People need a pump for a variety of reasons, and not necessarily into a want category. So I would say that I would in the current scenario, I would think that companies that are in the need category should not be vastly affected at this moment. So that's generally how I see it. The supply chain, of course, depends on how well you have developed your supply chains. Are your supply chains local? Are your supply chains global? As a company, we've made an effort to be local in a global environment. So most of our supply chains, whether they're in the UK, whether they're in America, whether we're in India, they are local supply chains, because we try and ensure that we promote local talent and promote local companies wherever we are. So that's been part of our structure, and that's something that that's the way we operate. So I think that has led to less disruption, at least in our supply chain. I think maybe someone else wants to add, and I'm happy for them to add.
So Dipti, I think the COVID pandemic is going to last for a while, because as we know, it's a retrovirus. It's very much like what HIV is. So it is going to be a while until a vaccine comes out. But I think what's important is that we need to learn to live with it now. And at our factories, we are working, with all the social distancing norms and the hygiene norms being maintained. But there is a reduction of the workforce, obviously for safety reasons, and that's going to be there for a while. I do see that industries will move towards automation to cope with these results and these effects, and we will be enhancing the skill sets of our workforce so that they're able to manage these new automated systems, these new systems that have AI. In terms of supply chains, we have both local and global supply chains, but at the same time, we are looking at decentralizing these supply chains so that we have suppliers in every region. So if one region is affected, then you can just go to another region and get the same supply. So we are coping in that manner. But I think if you're asking me as a general question, I think that we as India, we need to really look at ensuring that employment does not fall, because I do see a lot of the MNCs, they are thinking of going back to their home countries, right? Because the biggest advantage that India had was its people. And now with the COVID pandemic, that is your main bottleneck, is having so many people. And if companies are going to move towards automation, and they're going to have a set of machines, and with the new AI technologies that we have today, your factory is going to be reduced to just a group of machines working in a coordinated fashion. So if I were an MNC, it would be very logical for me to think, well, if my factory is going to be a group of machines with no human beings, then why will I have it in India? I may as well move back to my home country. So that is a threat for India in the long run, and we need to see how to manage that as a country. But as far as companies like us are concerned, because we are Indian owned companies, we generally ensure that our employees here are not affected.
Thank you. No, that's really important. I mean, it's like not only the pandemic is changing behaviors, and behaviors is resulting in automation, and how important it is to keep that culture of that company intact through these crazy times. Right? So our last question is going to be on just that, automation, AI. I know we have two of our startups that are also in that space. I know from past experience that India is really a hub of AI technology solutions, right? So Ajit, then Hitesh, and then Alok, I would love to hear your thoughts on how do you see AI disrupting and changing and making the future brighter than today? Ajit, you want to go first, and then Hitesh, and then Alok?
Yeah. So We definitely have the advantage. We have studied a couple of markets like Japanese, American, and Indian market. We deeply studied. We studied about 80 startup in this medical domain, and also met several doctors as an interview. I met about 50 doctors. So a lot of hard work to understand how exactly they want to use AI. We have an advantage position definitely in healthcare because I studied that much better than other sectors. And the main 2 points I realized is there is a lot of data available to us along with the expertise. So dumb data is of no use for artificial engineering. It has to be a very domain driven, sensible data that is expertise, domain expertise. If I want to get hold of one doctor here, it's very easy. In US, you have to take the appointment. So that is a big difference. And I think we are gaining a big way, including our AI expertise are growing now. We have definitely advantage position now.
Thank you. Thank you. Hitesh, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think artificial intelligence and technology in large has a role to play in three areas in healthcare specifically. First is the access. We all know that, we would love to have, expert doctor at our convenience, the way we have it in other, areas. So by providing a multi-tier approach where certain questions and concerns that you can do with, let's say, AI-enabled chatbot, who not only triages those questions and help you, but can quickly figure out when you need a more higher touch level of care in a very seamless manner. So access is going to be a huge one, especially when we talk about chronic care, where your needs are on an ongoing basis. Second is the outcome. Now, we all started with our population health level guidelines, and we all are realizing that when it comes to health, we are different. We are different based on demographics. We are different based on our lifestyles. We're different based on our genders, and so on and so forth. So in the last few years, the data that we have collected and the know-how we have allows us to go beyond population health to personal health. Like examples I gave you in terms of the prescription. So AI can play a huge role on that one. And finally, the economics of it, because healthcare is pretty much almost a fundamental right that we all, we feel as kind of a society, it's not just kind of a privilege. And when we all are seeing, the way the US, healthcare burden is going, it's pretty much the simple point. US healthcare is bigger than the GDP of India. You just look at it and you realize it. So the technology with multi-tiered approach will allow us to deliver the better outcomes while continuing to push the cost down. And so that's how I see, the role of AI in healthcare.
Thanks. And Alok, I mean, so of course, AI is transforming the healthcare industry, as we heard from both Ajit and Hitesh, assisting the doctors, helping out in clinical outcomes, coming up with better outcomes. How is it changing the technology industry, Kirloskar industry, and how do you envision AI assisting you in the future?
I think I feel AI is really good at some level in maintaining the status quo with a lot less people, and of course, because of that, delivering better profitability. But I don't see AI as something that makes the big innovations, makes the big decisions. I mean, just take an example of COVID, right? I mean, suppose at the start of COVID, the amount of demand suddenly fell. And so, if you're running your factory on an AI system, what would the decision be? Because you'd say it'll keep optimizing and it'll say, okay, let's just make a few units today and a few units tomorrow, and this is the most optimal way to make them. But a human being would say, you know what, shut down the factory for 2 weeks and we'll come back later, right? So I think some of those big decisions still are difficult to be made for an AI system to make. And so I feel that big decisions, innovations still clearly are in the realm of the human mind at the moment. And I think there's nothing that can replace that as of now. I think the other thing that one should consider is, what are you using AI for? I mean, are we just using AI for, squeezing out some extra profit? Or are we using AI because, we want to, redeploy people to add value? I'll give you an example. We have two areas in our company. One is application engineering, one is R&D, which is research and development. And we had a lot of engineers in application engineering. and that was converted to AI. But that didn't mean we fired them. We actually moved all of them to R&D, and now today we can develop a lot more products. And it's not that it's affected us in any way. In fact, our response to customers is faster through an AI system for application engineering, and we have a whole new set of products. So it really depends. If you're doing it just to cut costs, it'll work. But as you know, when you cut costs for a while and you're not innovating, before you know it, you're out of a bunch of products in your product basket, and the company's bust. So I think using AI has to be done very cautiously, and with a vision towards the future of what you're doing with that AI.
Very true, very true. AI is good, technology is good, but it's not at a point where it has the meta learning as yet, right? I mean, humans are the ultimate meta thinkers, and humans still are needed for the higher level of understanding of the company and its working. So coming back to meta thinking, I wanted Pratima to have the last thoughts out here to the audience. Meta learning, how do you see Kirloskar's meta learning shaping India and the world in the future?
I think that we do have lots of systems which we work with within the company. And I think that you need to have a large base of population that can access it, like for some, there couldn't be a divide between some set of people who can do it and some can't. When the average of everybody comes up, then more and more people join this and they get induced to learn. So we've tried that at some level where we've actually started even a women's factory in Coimbatore, where we have trained 8th standard dropout girls between the ages of 18 and 35. And we've trained them and today they work. So what happens is that while they work, they're so enthused to work that some of them are doing a lot of Kaizen while they're working. And I think that is where the thinking mind starts. You start thinking and you start growing, then you want to learn, and the whole cycle starts up. And I think what is important is to trigger that mind to think and to start solving problems. And it can start at every level. So you start at this level, women have now started working, they have become bread earners, it's changed the society because men want to now relocate for them. And so then on one side, there's a societal change, on the other side, there's a mental change. And I think generally there is a change in all directions. So I think that's on the women's side, but when you have engineers and you have young new engineers coming in, they're made to think when they're doing projects, you need to bring down the cost, you need to bring in new technologies. There are groups of people working, you borrow from some things and you add your own. And I think that's all a part of growth.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. No, it's really, really impressive to see that Kirloskar has an all-women factory. Like I was having a dialogue with Pratima and she was mentioning that every person there is a woman. So really impressive for them also to see two amazing role models like yourself and Rama as part of the factory that they can aspire to. So thank you very much for the time. I know we're like way past our time, and thank you to the Kirloskar family, to Pratima, to Rama, and to Alok for sharing their insights on how to be a global company based in India. And thank you to Ajit and Hitesh for their really amazing solutions in healthcare. I'm looking forward to your growth in the future and seeing these solutions grow for India. So thank you all. Thank you to the TIE team for making this possible, and for the audience for sticking around and listening to us. Thanks a lot. This is recorded, so it'll be shared with all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye all then.
Bye-bye all.
Bye.